Go home, go hard, go home. Touchdown like the end zone. When the circle turn to my home, can't get me out of my zone. Go hard, go home, go hard, go home. Yeah, these are championship rings on my hands now. In my head I'm top 10, yeah, that's hands down. You a squad, know you're looking man down. Funny how foes turn to friends now. Drive a race car like a Atari now. Call filling up, I need product again. Treat the business like a playground, might slide on you. Don't even might slide on you. Do a backflip, cause I'm mad rich. I'm the definition of what that is. Go hard, go home, go hard, go home, go hard, go hard, go home. Touchdown like the end zone. When the circle turn to my home, can't get me out of my zone. Go hard, go home.
What's up? What is up? It is the Texas Longhorn Fan Battle Podcast brought to you by FanBattleSports.com. Of course, my name is Harish. I'll be your host tonight with my guy Tim Wayne. And we've got a special guest. We've got a very, very special guest here tonight who we'll get to here in a second. But Tim, how you doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm good. I'm ready to go. We got a lot of big news coming down the pike. Have some reveals with the SEC schedule, so I'm ready to get to it.
Excellent. And of course, our esteemed guest here down below, who we all know very famously as Anwar Richardson, host of the Old Fashioned Sports Show on Orange Buds Live. Every weekday morning, 8 a.m. to sometimes 11, sometimes noon, sometimes 10, sometimes just depending on what's going on.
You can find me at 8 o'clock. That's that's for sure. Start in the morning. We figure it out from there. How you fellas doing though? Thanks for let me start over. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it. I first of all like the intro. Second of all, I appreciate you guys. You know, I think that I know you guys are going to be interviewing me and picking my brain and asking me questions, but you know, this whole thing doesn't exist without fans like you know, who really kind of take your fandom and your passion and you combine it into doing this kind of thing. And you know, I've been one of these people who I think there's a lot of reporters who get, I think, threatened and by the term that I call is the super fan. You know, the super fans who are out there who got followings and who have people, an audience, you know, who have a channel and all that kind of stuff. And I just want to tell you guys that I appreciate, you know, what you guys do. I appreciate you guys following your passion. I appreciate you guys following myself. I appreciate you guys following the team, like all that. And, you know, I feel like we're in a realm where everybody can eat. You know, so you know, there's no like, oh my God, me versus you versus me, or anything like that. Like, there's enough on this table of where everyone can eat, everyone can do it, everyone's got their niche. So I just want to tell you guys from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you and everything that you guys do as well.
Awesome, we appreciate it, and thank you for paving the way for allowing things like this to occur.
That's what the hell.
Yeah.
You like he the Rosa Parks of all the people who do videos, boy. He just been doing this thing for a long time. Like so Mahalia Jackson. I don't feel no ways tired. Like, okay, yeah, I guess I'm a little bit old.
Well, before we get down to business, let's obviously take care of a little bit of side things here real quick. Of course, we're obviously brought to you by FanBattlesports.com. FanBattlesports.com. Go there for the latest and greatest for the AFC South, including the Colts, Titans, Jaguars, and Texans. That's also where you can find us. Excuse me.
You didn't say anything bad about the Titans.
I mean, they had the Miami City Mayo Miracle this weekend, so there's really not much to say. The Titans are a team that we despise very greatly in this household.
Why? That's such a random hatred for a team.
I'm a Colts fan.
But it's not as random then.
Yeah, they're a big division rival for us. So, I despise the Titans. And I actually despise all the teams in our very shitty division. So. Except the Colts, obviously. So that's kind of where that comes from.
Are you from that area? Is that where you're?
I moved to Texas in 1998 when from Tennessee when Peyton Manning was in college at the University of Tennessee. So my first football experience was watching Peyton Manning in college when he was.
Wow, but okay, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. And so that carried over to you following into the Colts.
Yep, carried me to falling into the Colts, and then, I mean, I was what 6, 7.
How do you hate? Oh no, Tennessee is such an irrelevant franchise, though. Like it doesn't even seem. It seems like a waste of effort. To be quite honest,
it is a waste of effort. But
I mean, like you know what I'm saying? Of all the teams that you can be hating on, like why do you hate on a team that nobody thinks about?
You know what's really funny? It's like Texas and A&M, right? It's like Texas A&M hates this team that really. A lot of people think about, but nobody really thinks about A&M, and they hate A&M. So we just kind of, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like they're an in division rival, quote unquote. They're the most, I guess, the most successful of recent, and they just give a lot of shit to Colts fans, and I just don't care to.
That's like saying that's
like to give it back.
No, Harish. It's more like you saying like as a Texas fan you hate West Virginia. And everybody be like, well, why you hate on West Virginia, man? Because I just don't like the Mountaineers. You're like, what, man, why are you hating on West Virginia? It's like A&M's relevant. So that's not really the best example. But that's like literally more like you saying you hate West Virginia. And I was just like, why? Like, why do you hate on a team that literally no one cares about? The only thing that's good is that it's in Nashville. I mean, that's the only that's the best thing about it. No one that program that whole anything hasn't been relevant in so many. It's fine. I don't want to take away your hate. I just feel like it's misguided. I just feel like there's so many things in life for you to hate on. Like hate on poverty, hate on he over here hating on the Titans. Like why you hate on something else? I don't know. I feel like you do better.
Being as I've got to put some kind of sports fandom into it, and I feel like as a fan of every team, there's always this quote unquote team that you have to dislike or hate. And for me right now, that's the Titans. It used to be the Patriots for the longest time, but I can't hate them anymore because they suck. They've been sucked into irrelevancy. I guess of recent success, quote unquote, division winning, whatever, number 1 seeds. They've been the most successful in our poverty division.
Okay.
So.
If you like it, I love it.
Hey, well, we've got to try to do something to remain a fan and keep that spark going. And, right now, because we are not very good.
I was going to say winning usually will solve that. I mean, I don't.
We're not doing a lot of that either. So
okay, all right.
FanBattlesports.com. Also, if you're interested in starting a podcast, please contact us there on the website. Fill out the contact sheet. We will get in touch with you. We will help you guys get yourselves set up on a podcast. Any sport, any team, any league, FanBattlesports.com. I actually just made that up. That sounded pretty good. Follow us on Twitter at Longhorn FanBattle. Anwar, I'm going to ask you something. You may laugh at us, just like you laughed at me for liking the Colts and hating the Titans. How familiar are you with the hashtag No Longhorn Fans Under 1K?
Very familiar with it. I don't know how successful it's been for people, but I'm very familiar with that, and I've been seeing it probably at least for the last like 2 weeks or so. I'm very familiar with that.
Brought to you by this Twitter channel right here. So we started this a couple weeks ago, and this is kind of a network thing that we do. We do it for all the teams, all the networks that we have, and it's really just about getting a community of people together, being able to fill your timeline up with the team that you love to talk with other fans. So it's obviously become a lot more successful than we ever anticipated. Has helped us grow significantly. So, no Longhorn fans into 1K. So
yeah, I mean, I've seen it, and so it's almost like everyone just flocks to it and goes. But like I said, I'm very familiar with it. I've seen it. I've seen some people that have been over a K. I haven't seen people that are working towards it. So, but I still think it's a cool community thing, though. I mean, I like that. What made y'all come up with that?
So when we started the network about a year and a half ago, we obviously started with the 4 AFC South teams, and it's just something that we've done for all the teams, right? It's something we'll do for all the podcasts, and as you come on, build your following, and build the ability to build a community. It's just something that one of the other owners of the network came up with.
Like it.
So, but yeah, it's been the first time. This is actually the third time we've done it, second or third time, and this is the time that it took off. So, very, very interesting that it happened this time. But yeah, give us a follow at LH Fan Battle. Of course, follow us, like us, comment on all of our videos at Longhorn Fan Battle on YouTube. Anwar, I know we had a little bit of an introduction, but I want to give you some time here. Tell people a little bit about yourself for those that might not know who you are, and I'll give you a few minutes to give you your spiel.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, right now I'm Anwar Richardson, cover obviously University of Texas football for orangebloods.com. I reporter, also a columnist for them, kind of do lots of things as far as writing on the website is concerned. Also have my own show here on YouTube. From 8 to usually 11. There's some days I got to cut it short because we got other shows that we got to kind of cut into, but do the old-fashioned sports show, solo show, which, is not easy to do that for 3 hours a day, but nonetheless, I try to grind on that one as much as possible. So you guys do that. And, prior to doing this, I covered the NFL for multiple years, covered the Tampa Bay Buccaneers under Coach Dungy, Coach Gruden, covered Detroit Lions, Jim Schwartz, worked at Yahoo, former NFL Hall of Fame voter. That's the plaque I got when I was a voter for a few years doing that. So just means I'm old. That's all that means. Just means I'm old. 49 years old. I turned 50 in a couple of weeks. So that's all that means is that I just been around for a little bit of time, been grinding at it. Covered boxing, NBA, you name it. It's I've done. But I've been privileged and blessed enough to see a lot of different things in different countries and so on and so forth.
Awesome. Well, what would you be your top memory of all the years of all the things that you've covered?
That's a couple. So some of them are boxing related, to be quite honest with you. And it's old school boxing, not some of this new stuff where you just got, guys who are reality stars boxing. Not to say that they're bad, but it's a little bit of a different world than I was used to. I mean, I was in the pyramid when Mike Tyson got knocked out by Lennox Lewis, many years ago.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I was in there covering that fight. And got a chance to see that. I was also ringside when Roy Jones Jr. got knocked out in the second round by Antonio Tarver. So I was, sitting there, for that. I covered all three of those fights as well. I was in Super Bowl when David Tyree caught the ball on his helmet. Cool. Then the Giants were able to beat the Patriots and knock off their undefeated season. Also Super Bowl when Ben Roethlisberger hits a guy in the back of the end zone to score a touchdown. So those are the things that kind of pop off, instantly, like right away. Did the Orlando Magic. I was there when Nick Anderson missed 4 straight free throws.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, I take it. Yeah, you want to take it back, for some different things that I've covered. So yeah, I was there. He was shooting towards me. I was in like the second row and saw him miss 4 straight. So yeah, I've been, a lot of different things, but I'm looking forward to, this year where I can say maybe I've covered a Texas Longhorn team winning a national title. I think that would be really high up there on the list. And I'm optimistic that will be something that will be number one when it's all said and done. Like I got a couple of cool things over here, like over here on this side over here. This is my media credential when Texas played Alabama this year. So
nice.
Put that on the wall. This was 49-0 Texas versus Oklahoma the year before. Everyone knows that Big 12 championship game, but I need that natty behind me. Like that's the thing that I'm waiting for.
Yeah, awesome.
That would be, as magical of a season as it has been. It would be super cool to be able to post that up there and add that to your collection. Which yes. Lots of really cool stuff on there. Tim? You got any quick questions for Armoire here tonight?
No, I don't have anything, man. I'm just ready to get right into it, man. Like I said, it was a lot of announcements from last week to this week, so I'm ready to just jump right into it, man.
Let's dive in. I know we've got lots of things to talk about. So let's talk quickly about Kobe Black.
Yes, sir.
Kobe Black commits to the University of Texas yesterday out of Waco Conley, which is very different from Pflugerville Conley, which is where I went, which is nowhere close to as good as Waco Conley. Commits to the University of Texas. And after, onward, what's really interesting is it sounds like that this has been something that's kind of been in the works for quite a while. I know Sukimo covered the commitment yesterday and had a chance to talk to Kobe afterwards. It sounds like Kobe's actually been pretty committed to the University of Texas for quite a while. With that being said, if there is such commitment to the University of Texas, can you give us any insight as to why it might have taken so long to have the official announcement?
I mean, Kobe Black is not unlike a lot of young people who, even though they are committed, still want to go and take visits, still want to make sure they do the due diligence. But at the end of the day, they know exactly where they're going to go. And I think he's just like every other young person that said, okay, at the end of the day, I still want to go somewhere. I still think there's some, y'all's generation, still likes a little bit of attention. And so, it's not as fun to go ahead and commit early and then not have the attention. I'm just keeping it real. Like you guys grow up and, you guys are younger. You guys like to go out and eat and you post your food on your social media before you actually ever take a bite of it, right? It's just It's these things like you got to, I just got to get the perfect light and this and that. It's just different generations. It's okay. And I respect it. I understand it. But so by understanding, I understand that, some of it is just like, hey, I still want a little limelight. I still want a little spotlight. Yeah, I'm going to come here, but I still want people to write about me. Like I still want to see myself on Twitter. Like, it gets, because you see guys who, all of a sudden now you're like, oh yeah, I forgot Trey Owens was committed. It's like, because you did it so long ago. So that's what it boils down to. But yeah, I mean, there was some concern that, okay, could Oklahoma State be a potential player? Could A&M, something to that effect. But at the end of the day, he decides that, he's going to commit to Texas. And, everyone says like, we knew it all along. It's like, well, maybe you did. But, it's easy to say it now. But I think most people who did their predictions in every website, whether it's Rivals, who I'm affiliated with, or 24/7 or On3, like they all have their different names for their predictions, like Crystal Balls or whatever. I think most people had their predictions in for Kobe going to Texas. And so I just think it was just a matter of time before he pulled the trigger, and he decided to pull it, about a week before signing day.
Yeah. I've been pumped about this commit for a long period of time. Me and Harish have been talking about this for man, months now. I just like the fact that we're, just kind of collecting, going in and collecting the so-called stones, right? You're getting all the top players that you possibly can from the state. You're keeping these guys in house. And Kobe's played multiple different positions, which is also pretty cool. I've watched some high school tape on him. He's played running back, he's played receiver, he's played safety, corner. So he's kind of a jack of all trades type of situation. He really could have been just committed as an athlete. He's done well at all positions. So that was one of my things. Is like I haven't really seen just like one of those long rangy type of guys, just really just that kind of just stands out. And Kobe to me stood out. And when they were talking about landing him and him being a real strong possibility that he was going to show up was really, really dope for me.
Yeah, it's like you can see, if you close your eyes, you can imagine, a future where there's Kobe Black and Malik Muhammad, as two DBs, with Derek Williams, providing the support behind them. You can see that, you can envision that. The thing that Sark has done incredibly well too, I would say, is that they're recruiting guys who could come in here and hit the ground running. We saw it this year with Anthony Hill. We've seen it this year with Derek Williams as well, CJ Baxter. They've got guys who come in and can have that kind of instant impact. You look at him and you say to yourself, okay, he fits that mold. Like he fits that mold in that DB room, especially when you look at guys who probably going to be gone. Look at a Ryan Watts who probably is going to be out. Johnny Barron, if he's out, right? You start saying like, ooh, you might need some help in there. And you look at him, you say instantly, okay, you're going to be that guy that can come in,
right?
In the SEC, and do it. And it's interesting about him because you talk about watching his film. His film is interesting because you don't know how fast he is.
Right. It doesn't look like
no one's getting by him, and he's making plays. So he's fast to a certain degree, but to your point, with those long strides, you just you just see this person who's he's covering a lot of ground.
Yeah, he's gliding on a lot of them.
Yeah, but like to your point, when you watch him on offense and you see him making plays and you see him running away from people, he's got some speed.
Right.
But he makes it look so effortlessly. It's just some guys you see like, oh man, that's a burner. You just like, is he fast? You're like, well, I called him because so he must be fast. That's the interesting thing about him.
With seeing the success of Manny this year, starting as a true freshman, do you kind of see a similar role with Kobe next year in that maybe nickelback formation? Is he going to play outside? Is he going to play a little, help out? Like where do you see his fit next year? Because he will play. Right, and I believe Jeff talked about maybe somewhere potentially around the 300 snap mark. Where do you see his fit, and how often do you think he's going to play next year?
Well, he'll play, but the thing is that the interesting thing that we've got to see is we've got to see what Sark does in the transfer portal. Because he's not shy from going to get DBs. Like we know he likes to get DBs out the portal. Nobody like he gets receivers out the portal as well. So I want to see like at the end of the day, when the day is done, what does he end up getting? But I look at him as a person. I'm you guys may know better than me if he's an early enrollee or not. I don't remember.
He is.
Okay, so if he is an early enrollee, then yeah, I mean he's a guy that, I mean I don't know if he starts on day one per se. Like I don't know if you want to put him in that kind of fire right away. But is he a guy that you probably work in situationally? Yeah, I think he probably ends up being that person that you maybe have some sort of veteran in front of him just for a little bit until you know for sure he can do it when the bullets are flying, and then at that point. You like you said, you see Derek Williams do his thing. You see Malik, Muhammad, and is again just with all due respect to a guy like Ryan Watts. You look at Malik and you say, this might be an upgrade. And so, and that's no disrespect, even though it may sound like it. So when I look at this young man, I say to myself, by the time the halfway point of the season rolls through, and for sure that this is what you got, then you might be able to put him in there and get a lot more ticks and a lot more burn for a young man like that.
Yeah, you also have your 3 cornerstone pieces of your defense of the future, right? You talk about Colin Simmons on the defensive line. You talk about Anthony Hill in the linebacker room, and now you've got your defensive secondary guy, 2 of them, right? You got Derek Williams on the backhand side, and now you've got Kobe Black. So I think Sark has done a fantastic job of like creating a mold and a foundation for the future of this defense, and then kind of putting pieces around these guys. I'm very excited to see what PK does with these guys.
Yeah, I mean, from of course, well, that's good to say. I'm sure PK appreciates that.
Once upon a time that wasn't the case.
Everybody thought Gary Patterson was supposed to be the savior of the program, and at the end of the day, the only weakness of this defense this year has probably been pass defense, and everything else has been pretty damn lights out. So,
right.
But yeah, I from a recruiting standpoint, they continue to do well. They continue to put pieces. The one thing I think PK does extremely well, and then the defensive staff does well, is that I feel like they put guys in the right places to succeed. I think that's evident when you look at them on third down and look at their third down being able to get off the field on third downs. That's having guys in the right places. That's calling the right plays. That's having the right guys on the field. That's important. And so, I haven't looked at the thing about this team that's different than other teams that I've looked at before in the past. I've looked at guys when they've been out there, and I've asked myself, why the hell they're out there?
Right.
Like that guy should not be out there right now. Like he does. Right. Should not be out there. I don't want to name names because I don't want anybody catch strays. Are they sitting on the couch today? But there's some guys who we see throughout the years, and you're just like, come on, man. Like, are you serious right now? This is the best you got? Right now, when I see guys out there, I feel like that guy should be out there. That guy's making plays. I haven't looked and said to my and threw my hands up. And so, shouts out to PK. And so I know when you talk about the Collins coming in, and when you talk about this man coming in, like, and when you see all that, you say, I know that they're going to put those guys in the right. Now, there's 2 things. They'll put them in the right position to succeed, but more importantly, they'll get these guys' bodies right in order to be on the field and go out and do the damn thing. And some of that, a lot of that credit goes to Torrey Becton and what he's able to do for the strength and conditioning program. When you see these guys in person, you look at them and say to yourself, oh man, whew, these guys are dogs. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys look the part, but they're athletic. They can survive. We saw them go to Alabama. We saw them go to Tuscaloosa, and we saw them throwing around guys, right? We saw them deboing, an Alabama team that we've never seen get deboed like that. So, when I look at a Kobe Black, I say when he gets on campus, they'll get his body right, and then they'll also put him in a position to succeed. And I think those things should be something you should be excited about.
Yes, Kobe Black is 6'2", 190. I'm going to say probably by the start of next year, he'll probably be 200, 205.
Oh,
he's going to be nice and lean. I mean, he's already, tall, and that's one of the great things also is like, man, Sark has gone out there and got some height, I had an encounter with a lot of those guys on this current team a couple of weeks ago after them winning the Big 12 championship. I just so happened to be in downtown Austin celebrating. And I've never been in a situation where I was like the smaller guy in the room. And I definitely walked into that vicinity and that area where the Longhorns were, and I was like, okay, all right, these guys are mean, these guys are large. Yeah, and whatever they're eating, I need to get my body right and get on their program because they look good.
Well, they eating and they exercising.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I'm just eating, Anwar. I'm just eating.
Hey, bro, I'm eating too, bro. I was on that big rib tonight. You can't. I mean, shoot, I was I do not. There's a judgment-free zone. Is what I want to know.
Right.
But it does. It's interesting when this summer I was getting calls from people, and they was like, "Man, Sark, these guys are out of control." I'm like, "What are you saying?" They said, "Man, they got these boys out here in this heat. You know how hot it is?
Yeah.
It's over 100 degrees, and they got them out there practicing in the afternoon." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And so there were people like, "Man, I think Sark's out of control. I think Sark's crazy," so on and so forth. And so I was like, "Okay, and people could tell me like, man, I can't believe Sark. These guys are throwing up. These guys are doing all this, and that, right?" And so I was at Tuscaloosa, and after that happened, someone grabbed me, and it was from the Texas staff, and that person said, "This is why Sark had those guys out there in 110-degree heat."
That's cold.
And I was like, "Oh, really?" And then it's like, "Yes." He goes, "Y'all thought he was crazy. This is why, so we can do what we just did here, and we're gonna do it against everybody else the rest of the season." I was like, "All right, calm down, let me go there. Get a strong photo. All right, you can talk to me without holding my arm like this, man. Like, can you let me go?" But you can see how it's all kind of fallen together and been pieced together what this team, the success of this team has been able to achieve.
Absolutely. Speaking of the transfer portal, I know you said you wanted to be out by 9. You still good, or you want to?
That's right. Let's keep going.
All right. Speaking of the transfer portal, obviously lots going on in the transfer portal this week. Andrew Makuba is scheduled for a visit this week, tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah, Friday.
Friday, yep. And then we had the Houston wide receiver. And was he in today? Is he coming in this week? Do we know what the deal is there?
I gotta go back and see what Catch reported on that one. So give me a second. Keep talking. I got you in a second.
And then obviously we got
responsible for him, so I apologize on that one.
Yeah, no, you're good. And then Trey Moore is supposed to be coming in for a visit as well, who's obviously the defensive, the edge rusher out of
the
UTSA.
Yeah.
Sark has been very intentional with the portal, and it's the term that he uses. And we'll talk about the obvious transfer portal news here in a second, because I think that's gonna warrant its own discussion. What do you see from these guys that Sark might see to warrant bringing them guys? Makuba is obviously from Austin. Trey Moore is kind of close by there, but what conversations have you had, or what observations have you had from transfer portal in general?
Matthew Golden is supposed to come in this weekend.
Yep.
So, there's a couple different things. So as relates to the Trey Moore conversation, we'll start there. Obviously, you need some edge guys. I think that. I think that we all like and respect Sorrell, but you've got to be able to make sure, if you have an opportunity to potentially get more production out of that position, you go ahead and see if you can find something. If not, you find someone who's good in the rotation and goes in behind him. It's still, again, it's not to say he's not all, he's not great or what sometimes not, but look, if you get a guy on the edge who can come in and have an impact, you go ahead and find them. Those guys are hard to find. And here's a guy that he was at UTSA, which means he was, a lot of people overlooked him. Now all of a sudden he's going to have an opportunity, 1, play for a big time program, 2, get paid through NIL. And, go for it. So I'm all for that young man getting whatever it is that's out there for him. So you start with that. And then, as relates to the receivers, situation with Matthew Golden, I mean, look, you're looking at a team that's looking at potentially losing Xavier Worthy and Adonai Mitchell, right, and Jordan Whittington. So you're going to need bodies. You're going to need people to fill in. And if you've got a person that can potentially fill in to 3 open roles, 3 open positions, 3 starting positions, absolutely. You still they still feel good about Jonte and what he can do, futuristically. But if you got something else that's out there, you bring him in as well. And as far as Mukuba is concerned, I mean, you need some help in safety. Again, that's a position that's out there. If Jared Thompson's gone, if you got to find a guy that you can put out there and have some help. And 100%, that's a person that you go after. Catalon's gone, Thompson's gone, so you need bodies in there. And he's a dude. He's a dude. He's a dog. And so he's more than just a body. I feel like I'd be disrespecting him if I say just put a body out there. So he's a good dude. So that's all that is. Like Texas is. I think Texas has evolved from that position where they're just bringing in guys who aren't going to be a threat to play. I think they're past let's just bring in a Ben Davis. And maybe he'll do something, maybe he won't do something. I think they're past Ray Thornton. Well, and maybe he'll be productive, maybe he won't. I think they realize, what? We can actually go out in this portal and get some dudes. We can get Adonai Mitchell who can do something for us. We can get a Ryan Watts that can go in and do something. We can get a punter who could go in here and actually flip the field for us. And then now I think they approach the transfer portal saying to themselves, you know what? Let's get the best that's out there. And so now you're seeing them going after the best that's out there. They're not just going for guys who just could fill in a role and be a backup player potentially. Like they're going for dogs. And if you're a Texas fan, as everyone on who's listening is, that's exactly what you want to see.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Anwar, in regards to the transfer portal. There's been a lot of transfer portal talk within the last couple of weeks and how teams are basically overhauling, offensive lines, secondaries, things of that nature. We don't necessarily see that with a team like Texas, right? Like you said, they're going for dogs. They're going and finding people that can make differences as soon as they come on the campus. How do you feel how do you feel in regards to it of affecting players that are incoming freshmen? How do you feel that transfer portal and, where Texas goes to either add depth or, even replace a player? How do you feel that transitions over to the incoming freshmen that we have coming in with this next?
So the transfer portal is like the NFL free agency. Okay? Right. That's what that is. And teams that go hard in free agency are always the teams that messed up in the draft. Okay. So when they go hard after a position in free agency, it's because when the draft occurred, they whiffed. They whiffed on their quarterback, they whiffed on their offensive lineman, they whiffed on their defensive lineman. That's what happens. And so why Texas doesn't have to go hard or really at all as relates to the offensive line. This is because it drafts / signing, same thing, same parallel. They've hit on all the guys that they've signed from from the offensive line perspective. So they don't need to go into the transfer portal and try to find new offensive linemen. They're good. And so what you see now, what you're seeing now from Texas as they go in the transfer portal, it's not necessarily that they're getting positions that they have whiffed on. They're more so getting positions that they just need some help in or need some depth in because they're about to lose some guys. And so that's what that really boils into. So look, there is a balance that has to be had, right? Like you want Colin Simmons to sign on Wednesday, right? Like you don't want to F around and find out, right? You got to make sure you're having conversations with the young man that says, hey, we're just bringing in somebody who's going to back you up, so we're clear, right? And you got to make sure that they understand that and feel good, about that. But those guys, look, there's something also to be said that if you can get a guy in for all the guys, get a couple of guys that we're talking about who can hit the ground running as freshmen. If you can still get everybody else to sit down and learn for a year and cook and then be ready. There's still something to be said of if you got a person who's in a position from the transfer portal for a year, maybe 2 at most, and then that person is able to then, that freshman is able to come in as a sophomore. Like that's the Alabama thing. That's what they do, right? They're able to, for the most part, let guys sit and cook and wait. And I think that's what you're seeing here. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Arch Manning is having to wait. Right. Arch Manning had to wait, is waiting as a freshman. Arch Manning is going to have to wait next year as a redshirt freshman, right? And then he'll probably start as a sophomore. That's what a good program does. I think we've been so used to, that remember like that Charlie Strong year where he decides that, we're just going to throw in a bunch of freshmen and see what happens because we're not going to be that good anyway. Right. And so you're past that. Right. You're now at the point of, hey, I need to let guys sit there, cook, develop, and then play. If you're able to do that, then you're able to keep guys around for the long haul.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that, making the parallels between NFL free agency. I did notice that, and I've kind of looked because, we all know there are other teams that are out here basically overhauling, right? They're overhauling, specifically Colorado is getting all the top. They're getting, top recruits as well, but it just, they've had a bad year. And of course, the main focus is that offensive line. The offensive line was maybe the weakest point. They definitely have other things that they need to go ahead and address, and they'll address it. I'm pretty sure they'll address it with Deion being at the helm. But, there's not only Deion, but in Colorado, but there are other teams that are just completely overhauling, their entire teams. And I think that could affect, I personally think it could affect, the incoming freshmen. Now you got incoming freshmen, you got transfer guys coming in, scholarship. Where do the scholarships line up? How does that work out? It all becomes a big mess, right? And so now the talking point, as of late within the last couple of weeks is what needs to happen? The transfer portal is getting out of control. What do we need to do? The NCAA's all of a sudden is trying to step in and be, the parent, the absentee parent, the dad that hadn't been there, that went to go to 7-Eleven to get the big goal, but never came back. Now all of a sudden he's trying to come back in and trying to straighten things out.
Well, they could never straighten that out.
Right.
That'll never happen. Okay.
Right.
So there's, the transfer portal and everything that we're seeing. Like if we go back and you go back you go back 5, 6, 7 years, maybe let's say 7 years before the transfer portal. Right. This whole thing is because of the evilness of college football coaches, college coaches themselves. They're because they were evil, because guys would want, or even ladies, okay, they would want to transfer, and that coach would say, okay, you can't go to an SEC program, you can't go to an ACC program, you can't go to a Big 12 program, you can't go to this program, and so these kids were left to go to some directional school in the middle of nowhere, or go to a lower level school. They used to control them. Like, we remember that, even though we may not like him, but Baker Mayfield, this is the person who was a walk-on. And Cliff Kingsbury was trying to say, you can't go somewhere. It's like, dude, you didn't even pay for my school.
Right.
And you're telling me I can't go somewhere. It was the evilness of college coaches that created this whole thing. And so now when you see guys now having the power, now they're like, well, what do we want? What should we do? It ain't no fun when the rabbit's got the gun, And so there's nothing these young men shouldn't be bound by anything. If they want to go somewhere, they should go somewhere. A college coach can quit at any time and go somewhere without a penalty. And back in the day, but before that, now don't forget, these coaches would recruit these kids. They recruited Tim Wayne. And as soon as you sign on signing day, 2 days later, I quit and I'll take a job and I go somewhere else.
Now you got
I've been lying to you. And I've been lying to you for weeks and months, talking about how I'm going to take care of you and how I'm telling your mama I'm going to take care of you. Right. So for me, when I hear the complaints about the portal, I say, cry me a river. I don't give a damn. They can go out there and do whatever the hell they want to do. I don't care about these coaches crying or complaining or anything to that effect. Don't mean nothing to me, So it's not out of control. The NCAA they can shut up. They making billions of dollars.
Yeah.
You know, the NCAA right now, they understand very clearly that they're going to do everything that they can outside of paying the players.
Absolutely.
So this whole thing is about whether it's transfer portal, whether it's NIL, it's everything. I'm going to give you everything that you want. Just don't come and get my money.
Right.
So if you can get money with someone else, congratulations.
Right.
You know, that's what if you want to transfer how many times? Fine. You want a COVID year, you want a medical register, you want to play for 7 seasons, have at it. But what you're not going to do is get our money. This is our money. But we'll give the players everything. So the NCAA will never put those BBs back in the box. That'll never happen. That's not how they build.
Yeah. In conclusion, with the transfer portal talk, if there was something that you could correct, or if there was something that you could change within the transfer portal, what would it be?
If there's something I can change, I'd probably change I'd try to figure out the windows for the transfer portal. I'd find a way to make that a little bit easier for the players involved, and you know, and again, I don't know how to do that. Like it's an unfortunate thing where a guy like Malik Murphy, you know, who's been a part of this program for so long, but feels the need, like, if I don't jump in the transfer portal now, I got to bounce. You know, I may not have a spot, and I may not have a spot, right? But you know, but it's unfortunate that he shouldn't have been able to kind of stay here, you know, and get the ring that he deserves, like, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I'd figure out better windows, I think, for the portal. You know, if there was something that I can do, that strikes me off the top of my head. You know, outside of that, I don't know how many flaws I see with the portal. Just be quite honest with you, I think one thing I would do. You know, they have in the NFL, they have a college advisory committee, right? Where they tell you, you know, hey, if you're an underclassman, you know, this is where you're going to get drafted. I wish they had something like that for these guys, because I'd see too many young men when you go to see the transfer portal is like saying a concussion, right? You know, it's simplifying a term, but I don't ever use the word concussion. I use brain injury. Right. When I say brain injury, now you understand the magnitude. It's easy to say transfer portal, but the reality is this kid is dropping out of college.
Yeah, it's a no man's land.
You're literally you're dropping out of college. Transfer portal sounds cool. You're dropping out of college. I wish there was some sort of college advisory committee that can tell these kids, like, hey, based off of what I see, I think this is probably like you might be lower level, blah, blah, blah. If you try to leave, you might want to consider staying. Now, sometimes you may not have that option. Sometimes coach may say, I'm going to take away your scholarship. That's fine. I get all that. But I wish there was a way they could get some sound advice, because I've seen too many guys get in the portal. Just never that you never hear from them again. Right. And you know, you would literally on a college campus, someone advised you to leave, and now you left. You not only did you never go pro, you never even walked out with a degree. Right.
Yeah.
What was it even for?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's a great. That would be a great change. I think it would save a lot of kids. You'd see a lot more people staying put. You know, especially if they only got a couple offers. You know, we know the 5 stars. We know that, you know, 9 times out of 10 they're going to land. Right. There's going to be a very limited situation where a top player, ESPN top 300, Rivals top, where they don't make it. But for the most part, those guys are going to make it. But there's more, there are more Jags, right, than top guys that are in the portal. So
you're on campus for two years, your stock has decreased.
Right.
You know, and no one know, you know, there's a new breed, you know, that's out there. It's like, you know, you're married, and then, you know, you've been married for, you know, several years, or 8 years, 10 years, or whatever. You get divorced, and you're out there in the club. Everybody's younger. everybody younger than you,
Yep.
everybody more slicker than you, like everything like that. You doing the old dances, but your stock was higher many years ago. Your stock has decreased. That's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, I definitely like to hear what people's thoughts are on the transfer portal, because I mean it's a topic that we could talk about all year round, but we can move on to something a little bit more fresher that just dropped as of yesterday. Of course, we've always had the leaks, and we kind of knew, coming off of Twitter and everything. Twitter and Instagram pretty much ruin everything now. But leaks came. We kind of find out, what teams were playing, what major games were being played. The SEC schedule finally released in its entirety yesterday, even though majority of us kind of already knew it. But what are you guys' thoughts on the SEC schedule, particularly with the Longhorns in mind?
Well, I think the couple of things that stood out for me when I look at the SEC schedule with Texas is like, one, they typically had the bye week after OU, so having a bye week before OU, you gotta like that. First of all, I like the start. Outside of Michigan, which I don't love that, but outside of that, you got the Colorado, UTSA, Monroe, Mississippi State, bye, then Oklahoma. So I like that. The last 4 games is going to be the tougher ones. Florida at home, Arkansas in Fayetteville, Kentucky at home, and then of course going to Texas A&M, which is another rivalry game. I think the thing that stands out for me is Texas is going to have to figure out, as they enter in this conference from a non-conference schedule, what are they going to want to do? When I look at some non-conference, when you look at the SEC, you look at some of the non-conference schedules, you look at Alabama, they've got Western Kentucky, they've got South Florida, they've got Wisconsin, they've got Mercer. Wisconsin is the only non-conference opponent that actually has any kind of pulse. Right. And when I look at a team like South Carolina, they've got Old Dominion, they've got Akron, they've also got Clemson, they got Wofford. It's like, okay, so you just, and again, I'm looking at LSU's got Nicholls State. They got Southern Cal, but they also got Nicholls State, on their schedule as well. That to me is the thing I'll walk away. Ole Miss, they've got Furman, they've got Middle Tennessee, they've got Wake Forest, and then I'm trying to see who's the other one.
Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern. Furman, Middle Tennessee, Wake Forest, Georgia Southern. I mean, that's 4 wins. Texas is going to have to figure out from a scheduling standpoint. All right, because I equated like, and I got to run pretty soon, but I equated like Texas is kind of like that team that's coming and they're like, all right, man, I'm just going to jack up all these threes in the first quarter, right? They're just yeah, we're going to go play Michigan. We're going to play all these other programs. Like, we're going to play all these top. We're going to play Michigan. We're going to Iowa State. Like, we're just going to go for all that. And like Alabamas and the Ole Misses and everybody else in the world, they're just kind of like, yeah, well, we're just going to chill out and we're relaxing. And so that to me ends up being kind of the more interesting things. I feel like being in the SEC personally is all Texas is going to need as far as getting into the playoffs. That will be the resume builder when it's all said and done. But overall, it's going to be, it's going to be the biggest takeaway is there actually are going to be exciting conference games.
Yeah.
For Texas fans to watch. And you haven't been excited about a conference schedule. I don't know when the last time was. It's been
a while. Yeah.
It's been a while.
Wow / ever. And this is the first time where, now all of a sudden you're actually excited about a conference slate for all those reasons.
Right.
October is very exciting next year. I mean, obviously you get the bye week, but then you get Oklahoma and Georgia back to back, right? That is the back-to-back we've never had as Texas fans in conference.
Yeah. I would say out of all the teams that have, they had looking over the schedule, Oklahoma's got a gauntlet. Oklahoma, I don't know. with the way things are going, of course, we all know Oklahoma is going to eventually retool. They've lost a lot of players in the transfer portal within the last couple of days. They're they got Tulane, Tennessee, Auburn. Tulane, listen, that's not a team you want to just waltz in there and think you're going to get an easy win. That's the Tulane of old. Tennessee, and then at Auburn. Then, of course, you got your bye, and then you're at Texas, South Carolina. Then you're at Ole Miss. You got Maine in there, but then you come back, you're at Mississippi. You got to open or a bye week, and then you're at Alabama and LSU. Jesus Christ. Yeah. That is a hell of a schedule. I looked at that, and I was like, I don't know how they're going to pull that out. And not having a seasoned quarterback at the helm really does something. It really makes me look at that with some weirdness going on. I don't know what's going on over there, honestly.
Absolutely, Anwar. I know you've got to head out. I just want to say thank you for coming on. We appreciate you. We'll close things out. You guys
can keep talking. You guys can keep talking.
Yeah.
I definitely got to run that at this point.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you coming in. We're gonna keep going.
All right.
If before you head out, please let everybody know where we can find you.
And it's real simple. Anwar Richardson. I'm on Twitter. But I'm not a mad tweeter. So if you follow me on Twitter, you will not regret it. You will not have a timeline that's flooded. I'm old school, so I tweet when I feel like I need to be tweeting. Right. Outside of that, I don't say nothing. So you won't have to worry about if you follow me. Am I going to get 15 tweets a day? Nah, you're gonna get like 2 or 3. And I'm going to try to make it count. So just ANWAR Richardson. That's how you can follow me on Twitter.
Awesome. Hey, well, we appreciate you, Anwar. Hopefully we can have you again soon. All righty. Tim, you're frozen. I got kicked out. This is wild. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Let's finish the SEC schedule discussion. Thank you, Anwar Richardson, again. At Anwar Richardson, you can find him weekday mornings, 8 a.m. to whenever on Orange Bloods Live right here on YouTube. At the Old Fashioned Sports Show, weekday mornings, 8 a.m. Anwar Richardson. We appreciate him coming on. He's been a guest we've been trying to get on since day one, and hopefully we will have him on from the show moving forward. Tim, a couple thoughts on the SEC schedule?
No, man. I'm really interested to see what happens in the future. Along with this SEC schedule, is it's impressive. I really want to in the future. Now we know that we know for a fact that there are some future home and aways that are coming up, right? We know about Miami's one.
Yep.
We did have Florida previous to us leaving the Big 12. Florida was one of those. Now that we're in the SEC, what do we do with that? Do we scale?
They just become an SEC opponent, right? That's probably why Florida's playing us first, because it was originally part of a home at home. They took that away. It's I think Oklahoma gets Georgia next year because they canceled their home at home, right? They were supposed to play this year, next year. So I think that probably wheels into that. The one thing I thought overall, I think the schedule is fair, right?
Yeah, I think it's fair.
Very fair. 2 bye weeks helps out a lot. That's going to be something new, right? We're not used to having 2 bye weeks.
That's weird. My other thing is with us being in the SEC, do we continue to schedule these big time out of conference games, or do we just kind of let the chips fall where they may and we just kind of just play it out? I'm very interested to see how that goes in the future. Just because like Anwar said, the SEC schedule is enough.
Yeah.
We're going to be rotating. It's not going to be a set schedule every single year, So we're gonna see the Alabamas and the Georgias and the Floridas and the LSUs. That LSU Texas game, whenever it does happen, whenever they do come into the fold, that's gonna be really major.
That's gonna be.
That's probably going to be
LSU being. I could see LSU being a new rival, right?
Absolutely.
It's not from an end game perspective, but recruiting, right? We're already tussling with them with these guys, right? Dominic McKinley is a guy. DeCorian Moore in the 2025 class is already somebody that he's already committed to LSU, trying to get him flipped. I think what you'll start to see is I don't think we know what happens in the non-conference yet, right? I think we'll start to see what happens once the playoff is set next year. What is it going? The one thing that we're not accounting for right now is how our bye week's going to work, right? Obviously, if you win your conference, you'll probably be one of those top seeds. But what if you win your conference and you're 9-3? I mean, should you get a bye over 11-1? Do we? I don't think we know how that stuff works yet. And one thing I want to talk to Chad about, and probably Anwar, we'll probably have those guys on in the future. How is this system getting decided, right? Is it computerized? Is it a committee? Is it both? There's a lot of question and a lot of conversation to be had with this, and we could spend hours on this, right? Yeah. But looking at the schedule, for me, I think the schedule laid out very well. I think it was very fair. The bye weeks are in a perfect place to me. We've never had a bye before Oklahoma that I can remember.
No, I don't ever remember.
For the most part, and let me go back and check. So 2021, we got a bye week 2 weeks after OU. 2019, it was a bye week. It was a bye week 2 weeks before OU. 2018 bye week after OU. So this is really the first time that I can, in recent memory, 2017 no bye weeks, 2016 no bye weeks. So yeah, I mean, I'm even going for the furthest I can go back on here is 2009.
So while you're talking about that, I really think with this new 12-team playoff that we're getting ready to embark on, and again, I don't like harping on it too much because again, I feel like it does kind of take away from what we have right in front of us right now with a game in less than 18 days, right? I think at this point, when you have these 12-team playoff type of situations and you have this committee, I think the committee needs to be done with. I know that's not the popular thing. I really think we need to go back to some type of formula where we have, we have these teams, we have this formula kind of I don't want to say similar to the BCS, but a BCS type playoff type formula where we take the human element out of it. It's numbers. This is all based on numbers, right? So the numbers get in. Of course, you win your conference, you get in. You win your conference, you're automatically in. And what? Two at-larges playoffs spots?
No. I think it's four. The Power 5, Power 4, whatever the hell you want to call it. 6 at-larges, and then the top G6, G5.
Right.
Gets that 12.
Right. So I'm really interested to see how that goes. I really think that we need to take the human element out of the college football playoff. Listen, I'm not discrediting anything that the committees have done in the past. I think for a majority of the reason, I think Harish, you would agree with me as well. They've got it right for the majority of the time. There's been a couple hiccups. Again, I definitely don't think TCU should have got into the playoff last year after losing to Kansas State in the Big 12 championship. I just don't think they should have got in. They got in. They beat a Michigan, right? But then got boat raced.
Yeah.
To me, at that point, it was kind of null and void. Like I just don't think they should have got in. That's just me. And they basically limped into the college football playoff.
They struggled in that Big 12 championship game against Kansas State.
Absolutely,
they lost it. Yeah, they didn't win. They struggled
mightily. we also got to take into effect like TCU at that point in time. And again, I have no ill will versus TCU. You know, I don't really look at TCU as a team. I'm not threatened by TCU, right?
Oh,
Now
no.
we're not even in the conference anymore, so it really doesn't even matter. I'm just using them because as of recently, you know, Florida State and TCU, those were the two teams that everybody talked about, right? Once the playoff. So
well, TCU caught lightning in a bottle, right? Sonny, So Sonny Dykes with his own guys, we're seeing what it turned into this year. They struggled horribly.
Mightily. A lot of that was quarterback as well. They
didn't know who their quarterback was. Max Duggan was like
weapons.
Yep.
They lost a lot of their weapons on offense and defense. So, you know, unfortunately, you know, they're not Alabama or Texas where it's just a retooling type situation. You know, I think they'll be formidable in the future, but as of this past year, we can all see that didn't necessarily work out.
I think that's yet to be seen. I don't know how they're going to be in the future, right? Because it's not a top school that people want to go to. TCU is a private school. It is a Christian private school.
TCU is a private school. However, I feel like the way you sell TCU is you sell Dallas. And Dallas is not a bad city. You know Dallas all too well. I know Dallas very well.
Yep.
Dallas is not a bad city. You sell the city, make some renovations, maybe do a couple upgrades to the stadium, maybe upgrade your weight room, things of that nature. You know, you land a couple of big name guys in there, and you might be able, I think, at one point in time, like I said, I don't think it's going to be next year, but in a couple of years, I definitely see where TCU could be in a real competition or possibly a top dog in the Big 12. You know, in the future. But again, I just bringing it back. I really think that we need to take the human element out of the Big 12, not the Big 12, but we need to take the human element out of the committee. I think it's just let's make a formula. Let's make the formula right.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
That's the piece. Honestly, I don't care what we do. There needs to be a sense of transparency of what it is that gets you into the
playoffs.
It needs to be obvious. Hey, if you do this, you are in. If you don't do this, then you will go to this, and these are the things we're going to look at. And you still might not get in, right?
Right.
The NCAA is so bad with transparency. It was an issue in the BCS era. It was an issue before, you know, the BCS era existed. And it's an issue now with human. Like, Boo Shenanigans couldn't even tell us at the end of the day why Florida State was left out. Besides, well, you know, there is a criteria that says we can look at who's playing. At the end of the day, and this isn't on you know the committee either. At the end of the day, the rules state here are the things that we're going to look at. But here's the thing: the rules do not say because you do these things you're automatically in. It just says these are the things that we look at.
Right. And you know, and it's funny that you mentioned that. It's funny that you mentioned that because I've learned more about the committee, and this just goes to we know he's not a journalist, but this goes to show the type of journalism and the type of research that this man has done. Kirk Herbstreit has been a godsend because there was just like you said, not enough transparency with the committee, not enough transparency on what they did when in crunch time the day of, because we know that they all at one point in time had to come into Garland where the Big 12 I keep saying the Big 12 where the committee is located. The headquarters of the committee is in Garland, Texas. You know, we didn't really learn from the guys that were making the decisions. We learned from Kirk Herbstreit, and Kirk Herbstreit is not a committee member.
Right.
So again, and the crazy, and it's funny that you mentioned that, Harish, is that they had an opportunity to set everything straight, and they did. They didn't do it. So now you go ahead.
The other thing, just because you mentioned Kirk Herbstreit, I'm tired of athletic directors being the committee. Fuck that. Like I'm so sick and tired of that. Get these guys that watch the damn games in the damn committee.
Right. I don't believe that every athletic director is sitting there watching every single college football game.
They don't have time to do that. They're running a freaking program.
You can't run a school, an athletic department, because not only are you over football, you're over all sports.
Right.
That's what an athletic director does.
Correct.
So not only do you not have an opportunity to just watch these football games, you might have to be at a basketball game. The athletic director. Do you think the athletic director at Kansas in the middle of October, where basketball season starts, do you think he's worried about football and football only? No, he's worried about his basketball team as a national championship possible contender every year.
Right.
He's got to worry about them too. So again, take the human element out of it. Come up with a formula. Come up with a formula that works. Run this by. I don't know who. I don't know what the committee that would look over this formula to basically bring it in or to where they pick the right teams. But
it shouldn't be anybody actively involved in the sport. So no coaches, no athletic directors. And what I think there should be, I think it should be a combination of things. I think you need to have checks and balances, right?
Absolutely.
You need to have a computer that says, hey, throughout the season, these are the things you need to look at: strength of schedule, strength of record, home field gains, average points by win. We have all the data in the world, right?
Right.
Then, and by the way, I'm sorry I keep looking off. Texas is up 1-0, and then they're down 18-16 in game 2 of the Final Four. Volleyball.
Okay.
So
yeah,
that's what I'm looking at. But I do think there needs to be a system of checks and balances. So give us the criteria that the computer is going to use, and then at the end of the season, the committee will have to worry about getting together, 18 times a year. Absolutely. They sit in a room at the end of the year. They have all the rankings. They're also the guys that have been watching, right? So now they have their human eyes, and then they basically check and balance what has happened this entire year. Well, it says that the strength of schedule is this. Yes, it does that. But I saw, even though the strength of record is this, I saw this team struggle this much in this atmosphere.
So you want not only a human element, but you also want the computer to come in and then use both of those as a situation where you go and form out this playoff.
Is that not what we do in every single data scenario in the history of the world today? People go look at data and they analyze the data and they make a decision. Why Absolutely. Are we not doing that in the sport and in college football's biggest moneymaker? It literally is what we do everywhere else. So why are we not using that same formula and doing this? It needs to be data-driven results, right?
Absolutely.
And then and then at that point, then it's a matter of, well, this is how I look at it. This is how you look at it, right?
Right.
But at least I can go back and say, you might look at, a 10-2 strength of record differently than I look at a 10-2 strength of record.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, they're 10-2, but they lost this game that they lost at home by 3.
Right.
Versus this team lost this home by 3, but it was a neutral site, which has, in my mind, it gives a bigger weightage.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think it needs to be both, and I think you need to take this shenanigans, this bullshit committee out of it, of people that are athletic directors. That was literally that. You know what that was? That was the NCAA keeping control. That's what that was. These idiots, they don't know anything. They even admitted they only get together 3 times a year to watch the games together.
Yeah, once you do that, once you admit something like that, and again, they don't watch these games as a whole together, that leads me to believe that these athletic directors are not necessarily watching all of these games.
They just don't care. They don't have time.
It's impossible. It's impossible.
Yeah.
At one point in time, I remember, what was it, like the third week? I think the week that we played Alabama, there was like 17 to 20 games that came on, like in between the start of the day and that Texas game. There was like 17 to 20 games. You're not watching all of those. You're gonna watch the marquee games, so you're gonna watch on average, you're going to average about 10 hours worth of football. You're going to watch the first game. You're going to take a break, 20, 30 minutes. You're going to go back in. You're going to watch the 2:30 game, and then you're going to watch the 7:30 game. Between those games, you got 1 hour of like rest. The rest of that is 9 hours of football. You're not flipping between those. You're going to watch the best. You want to watch the best of the best. So you're not gonna have a situation where, oh, somebody's gonna watch X, Y, and Z. Somebody else is gonna watch X, Y, and Z. Somebody else is gonna watch it. It doesn't work like that because you don't have any checks and balances. So now that you don't have any checks and balances, you can just do whatever as an athletic director.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, you're gonna probably watch your team.
Absolutely.
So,
Tim, you got any final thoughts for the night?
No, man. I'm just thankful that we had Anwar on for the time that we did, man. I really appreciate Anwar coming out here. My man, I definitely credit you for doing the work on that. I got some guys that I think would I've been kind of working on them. A couple members of the 2005 national championship team, Texas Longhorn guys. I'm looking to get a couple of those guys. I do know a couple of those guys. I did have one as a mentor actually. So I've definitely been reaching out to them. So hopefully we'll have a couple of those guys. There's one particular guy that I want to get on in particular because I just felt like this guy really would have been a difference maker had he was able to continue on with his career. Unfortunately, things led to he went down a different route, but he's still involved in the game of football, and I really want to see if we can get him on here. So in the future, guys, make sure you guys look for that. Again, Harish, man, I really do appreciate you doing the legwork in regards to getting Anwar on here, man. I would not have thought that early on 4 months ago we would be talking to Anwar Richardson or Chad Hastings. So again, man, I give you credit for that and getting out there and just being brave enough to just talk to these guys as if they're normal humans, because most people wouldn't dare, they wouldn't dare to do it. But I know you will. So yeah, I appreciate you doing that, man.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. And as we talk, it is now 1-1. Wisconsin wins the second set, Final Four, national semifinal. So yeah, man. I mean, look, give whoever wants to come on the show, give them our email address, and I'll give you that email address. Have them email us, and we'll get them scheduled. I've got some other guests lined up that are coming down the pipeline. Probably some of the off season. We've got just a little teaser. Somebody that loves Aggie facts. Coming in the off season, so we're definitely getting him on, and we're looking at a couple other guys. So our relationship with Orange Bloods Lives is hoping to continue. Those guys have been great to us, so we want to continue to return that favor, and hopefully we can get Brad Kellner back in here. I've reached out to him.
Enjoy Brad.
Brad's a smart guy. We go check out Texas Sports Unfiltered. Check out Orange Bloods. You got these are some of the premier guys in the Texas Longhorn, specifically football market right now. So check those guys out. In the meantime, in between time, Tim, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Tim Wayne. Like I said, you want to talk football, you want to talk sports in general, I'm definitely there. You can hit me up. At Tim Wayne, just get at me, man. Let's talk football. Let's talk sports.
Awesome. You can find me at the Uncle Gandhi. I'm on Twitter. Then, of course, as always, Longhorn Fan Battle. Guys, we've grown so much in the last couple of weeks.
Man,
it's been insane. Hashtag no Longhorns fan under 1K. Let's continue the trend. We're here to build a community. This isn't about us. This isn't about you guys. We want to build a community of Longhorn fans. We want people to be able to follow us. We want to be able to do the same. We want to have conversations. We want you guys to come in here, treat this as like a different home. So we hope to grow the YouTube channel to continue to do that. But we will be back next Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Probably no guests, but it's we'll probably do a 2-part series breaking down how we beat this Washington team. This is going to be
next week will be
18
fun.
days. Next week's going to be fun. We are 18 days away. Transfer portal is still high and strong. Hopefully, we'll have Makuba's decision. Next Wednesday is also signing day 1.
Yeah,
that's the day that Colin Simmons signs. It's the day that Kobe Black officially signs. Longhorns right now the number 4 ranked recruiting class per. Actually, number 3. Rivals.com is now they're sitting at number 3. So, but
Also, for everybody that's watching, and we do appreciate it. Bowl season starts in less than in a little over 30 hours. We got bowl season, and I know a lot of people are more geared towards, the big New Year's games and the New Year's Eve games. But there are a lot of interesting teams that are going to be playing. I know they're within the last, I would say 3 or 4 days, we'll have some interesting players, making debuts.
Yep.
A lot of people are not playing, and so, man, it's going to be a great time. So,
yeah, I'm just looking at the Rivals.com recruiting rankings. Texas is currently number 3 with 3 5-stars and 13 4-stars. Some of those 4-stars are probably – so Kobe Black's rated as a high 4-star right now. He's probably going to end up being a 3-star – or, a 5-star.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of that kind of stuff coming. But yeah, we will be back next week, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. And between now and then, we'll see you guys then. Have a good night.
So, Gabriel.
Peace.